Hola mi gente, MsMalcolmHughes here. Welcome back. Today we are going to discuss all the books I read in May, and honestly, May was a pretty good reading month. May was a pretty good reading month. I'm excited to come and talk about them with you all. One of the first books I read this month is Where Sleeping Girls Lie by Farida Abike Eyemire. And I actually did a buddy read of this book. The review is up on the channel, but if you missed it, this book follows Sade, a young woman who soon finds herself to be an orphan, and we follow her as she joins this boarding school. And immediately upon joining the school, her roommate, who she's only known for a very limited amount of time, goes missing. So she's pulled into trying to figure out what happened to her roommate. And while we're with her on this journey, we unpack so much of her background and her history and how she even ended up at this school, all while trying to figure out who done it, if anyone done it, what has actually occurred, where's the friend. Now, I can say the premise of this book for me was much better than the delivery, though I did appreciate a lot of the messaging, the support for women, listening to girls, showing up, breaking down institutions, appreciated the messaging. But for me, I found myself toward the end of the book not really being invested, not caring about what happens to our characters, and that's never a good sign. The writing was cool. Overall, it was just mid to me, so I ended up giving this book a read when you have time. But for more details, definitely check out the collaboration video with Udi from It's a Wrap. Another book I read this month is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. I'm sure this book is no surprise. It's been everywhere. But this book, we actually follow Yasmin and Josiah. They're a couple who are no longer together, but do they have enough chemistry to get over everything that's happened to them, all the devastation and losses that they've had? Can they rekindle that old flame? That is what we're trying to figure out through this story, and we're watching this journey of people trying to pick up the pieces and the scraps of what has occurred in their life and build something new from what remains behind. I must say, I loved this book. I was skeptical because everyone has raved about this book. So many people have great things to say, and that can make me a little hesitant to read it because I wonder if it's going to live up to the hype. This book was so good. I loved the writing. I loved how natural it felt. I am someone who really enjoys a two-person perspective. So I like when we go back and forth between characters. It's one of my favorite styles of writing. We get this. I also am someone who loves a second chance romance. It's one of my top tier romance categories. That and probably immediate attraction. Those are my top two, but like second chance romance, when done well, I'm not sure which one is one or two, but it's one or two. And so the writing was good, the pacing was good. I love the multiple perspectives. I loved our characters, Josiah and Yasmin, and then all the characters around them, including Hendrix and Soledad. They were so full. They were full characters. We got to know their full stories. I'm invested, especially because the second book and the third book that's forthcoming are about the friends. So it's important that we had characters that we were willing to invest in, and we totally get that here. I appreciated the way in which Kennedy Ryan handled those complex traumatic issues and broke them down in such a way that you felt them, you understood the pain, the chaos, the devastation that was caused. I also appreciated the way in which she wrote those intimate moments, and not just physical intimacy, but more so understanding the bond that two people share and what could bring them back together. Loved that. I know like one frustration with this work is that people felt as if, I don't know, it was just based on lust, their connection. That was not my vibe, not my feel at all. I think when you've been with someone for as long as they were together, when you have that deep history and that connection, there is a level of intimacy and attraction that's just naturally there. And so you have to speak to that spark that you feel. And I felt like it was genuine and authentic, so I really appreciated it. Even the characters that I didn't like here, like, they ended up growing on me because they were so well-rounded. So for instance, Vashti was a character who initially I did not care for. I felt as if she mishandled things, especially with Yasmin. Like, on a woman-to-woman level, she should have approached her well before that scene ever happened. So I ended up, like, not rooting for her downfall, but not really caring what would end up happening to her, because I felt like she was disrespectful to Yasmin. My opinion, she was just like too in her face about what was going on. And if I were Yasmin, she would have had to see me. But I like the way that Yasmin handled it. And in the end, I did end up feeling a little empathetic towards Vashti, because even though, you know, she had no loyalty to Yasmin, I could understand like how deeply invested she may have been and how she ended up getting her feelings hurt. And so that character grew on me. It was just so much here, so well-rounded. It carried you through the storyline. I wasn't bored. If I had one con, and it's not really a con, it speaks to how much I love the book. It's just that in the end, I wish we could have gotten more insight into what ended up happening between Yasmin and Josiah from one point to where we end up at the end. I wish we could have seen that evolution, but it didn't take away from it. We had enough history there, and I love this book. On a side note, just some other things that really had me emotionally invested. One, when Yasmin threw that necklace in that fountain with the ring, I was ready to fight. I said, oh, no, ma'am. No. We not giving up this fast. And also, sometimes, like, it's interesting because it happens in real life how two people can be experiencing or feeling the same things, and then someone else may be feeling that exact same thing, but they don't interpret it that way. And what I mean by that is, let's say you really care about someone and you're not sure if they really care about you, but it's obvious to everyone, and they're in their head like, oh my God, I love this person so much. But they're looking at the other person like, I don't know if they feel the same way about me. And I found that so interesting and annoying sometimes, because I was like, please stop being naive. I know y'all see the obvious, but sometimes you just don't. And so I appreciated the reality of this book. I appreciated the well-roundedness of it. I appreciated the characters. I am definitely going to read the second one as soon as I have a moment and time. And so I really liked this book. So based on my scale of read now, read when you have time, or read if you want, I definitely gave this a read now. If you haven't read this book, you're 1000% missing out. All right, so next on the books that I read this month, it started out as me telling you all that I was going to read the first book in the series, and it went on beyond the first. And the series I'm talking about is the Art of Hood Love series. So the first book we have is The Art of Hood Love, Savvy. And that is when we get Savvy and Shabu. And it's really focused on Savvy and Michi. We learn about these cousins who are dealing and living in this horrendous situation. It's them trying to figure out how to get out of it. We're getting a little bit of history and background for context of what's going on here. But their first book is really watching them struggle and try to figure out what's going to happen next. What's the best move? Again, there were some well-rounded characters here. Really liked Savvy, really liked Shabu. We also get the story of Savvy meeting Shabu and the beginning of their just connection, because Savvy has a lot going on, okay? She, one, is in a relationship, so even though there's a connection, she knows that she shouldn't really touch that. And so we have this tension. Savvy also has a lot of traumatic things going on. I will say there is a trigger warning for this book, but I think that it's written in such a way that it doesn't feel like it's ripping your like heart open, all of your organs. It's written in a way that you get enough information, but you're able to continue reading the book. And I did appreciate that. I really liked this story. I appreciated Savvy. I appreciated Shabu. I liked Michi. I liked all of the brothers. Though Relic is sketch. And we're going to talk about Relic and all of these characters as the story continues to evolve. But I do want to give each story a little bit of time. So I would say that The Art of Hood Love, Savvy, really enjoyed it. It was what propelled me to continue with the series. So with that, this was definitely a read now for me. Because it was a read now, I continued on to the second book in the series, which is The Art of Hood Love, Shabu. And this is when we get more details about Shabu. We still see Savvy and Shabu evolving and getting to know each other more and figuring out what that dynamic will be. It's a little frustrating to watch them navigate that. Honestly, it was like, get it together. However, it was an enjoyable read. Though, as someone who is thankfully out of the toxic phase of my life, hopefully, I did find their dynamic super frustrating at times. It was like, stop doing the back and forth, figure out what you want, use your words, be an adult. Y'all have a lot going on, but the story still carried, and it was still enough about the other characters as well. I like how the author brings in new characters all the time. Love her use of vocabulary. You will be breaking out a dictionary or a thesaurus at least, and I really appreciated that. So there was just quality here. I enjoyed the writing, fast paced, kept you going. Though in this one, like I said, I did find the back and forth to be a little frustrating at times, but loved the storyline, loved everything that was happening. Again, not just with our main characters, but with their external families. I also loved the Haitian patois being thrown in here, and it made me want to continue reading. So this, again, was another read now for me. Because it was a read now, I ended up reading the third book in the series, which was the finale. And so this one was a whirlwind. This one was a whirlwind. It was a lot going on. Like, I think after the first book, this one had the most going on, especially with all the characters. Our other characters were getting more attention. So we had the Michi and Titan storyline. We got to know more about Relic, King Toxic. We got more Savvy and Shabu. And I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. It felt slower paced, even though it did have a lot going on. There were aspects I loved about it. There were aspects that were like, I was a little tired of it at that point. Like Savvy and Shabu's back and forth. I was ready to punch one of them in the face. I said, you all need separate couch sessions, and I'm done. But I did like that Michi and Titan got so much airtime. I love learning about Toot and the other sister. I just appreciated so much all of those aspects. And so this propelled me to continue with the storyline, even though I thought this was the end. I ended up giving this one a read when you have time, but still enjoyed it, which made me read my current read, which is The Art of Hood Love 4, which is the story of Treasure. I haven't finished that yet. I will do a full review once I am done with book 4. I'll do a review of the series, so it'll be a longer, more detailed video here on the channel. But overall, really love the series. Had a great reading month. What did y'all read this month? Have y'all read what I've read? Let me know in the comments below. But that's it for me. As always, I'm MsMalcolmHughes, one who believes that books are sometimes better than people, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace, odabo, adios, ciao.